Look, I'ma just go like the green light, go shine like the big light, bright. Why don't you think? Why don't you think? Why don't you think? What's good? What's good? What's good? It's the one and only Ladies Love, and we're back with another episode of Meaningful Discussions. Today we are talking about respect. It's a two-way street. Your host, the one and only Ladies Love Avenue, and
Shaq Daddy, the king round here.
And before we get started, we already got to do our toast, you know what I'm saying? So, like I say, today we're talking about respect, a two-way street.
Intellectuals from different fields, masters of their respective crafts, diagnose the enigma of society as they bond, grow, and laugh through the prescription of meaningful discussion.
All right. Yes, that's the good stuff. All right, so respect, two-way street. How did I get to this conclusion? How did I get here? Yeah, I know I always be something going on in the world, and boom, I'd be like, okay, that's the moment. So how I got to this respect thing is I had a discussion with a friend of mine about a particular topic that's usually a taboo topic, you know, in certain cases, in certain instances. And the way that they came off is almost as if they didn't understand that respect is, you know, it's a mutual thing, it's a circle of things. So what I mean by respect, if you, let's say if it's a white person, a black person or so, right? If you know that you was raised a certain way, you want your respect, of course, but you also have to respect the other person's, the way they was raised. So if you were raised a particular way where you seen these particular things going on and this other person didn't see it that way and they was raised a certain type of way, you have to also respect their wishes. You know what I'm saying? If you, in order to get some respect, you got to give some respect. It's a two-way street. But a lot of times we have cases where we get into these spackles or these debates about certain things where one person or one side wants to be seen more or they want to be heard more, you know, and it's almost like people forget that, okay, I hear you, but you also have to respect my end of it. And in this day and age, we deal with it when it comes down to the straight community versus the LGBT community. We deal with it with the man versus woman. We deal with it with old versus an adult. You know, I mean, not old versus adult. We deal with it with children versus an adult. It's so many opposite sides when nobody's being heard. Everybody is sitting there saying, me, listen to me. But respect goes both ways. I don't know how many times I've been in a situation where I could be having an adult conversation or whatever. And me being who I am, I try to make sure wherever room I'm in that I kind of guard what I'm saying, because in this day and age, you do have to be respectful of the people that that you're around or whatever. But I've been in situations where the locker room talk goes so left field, because male locker room talk is one thing, female locker room talk is another thing, and then you have the other kind of locker room talk. When you get to a point where you're no longer, like when you're trying to encourage what you feel onto somebody, to me, that's when I feel like it's a lack of respect. And that's why I feel like respect goes both ways. If you want somebody to respect your wishes, your beliefs, what it is that you do, anything like that, your style or whatever the case may be, you have to also keep in mind that they may have a mindset too. So it's like you got to meet somebody halfway. I've been in situations where I had to work, like I know when I used to work inventory, I've worked with some people that are prejudiced. But they had enough sense to realize, like, okay, in the industry that I'm working in, I'm going to be working around people that I'm not used to. And it also gave me a newfound, like, the conversations that was forced to have were so big because we was literally saying the same thing.
And that's what it is most of the time.
We was literally saying the same thing. He felt depressed in his world, the way he was raised or whatever. I felt like I had, my mindset, but the conversations we would have, because, doing, I don't know if you know about inventory, but doing audits and inventories, when you're going from store to store, you're meeting at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're riding for hours and hours to go to wherever store you finna count. So you ain't got nothing but time to talk. So you got 6 to 8, sometimes 15 people on a van, most people knocked out, and it's just you and the driver. And majority of the time, it's going to be somebody from this world and somebody from that world. So you get so many chances to have these discussions. And throughout that time, like, I learned so much working at a job, working at actual job, because I was running to so many different types of people. Mm-hmm. So I was able to have conversations, i.e. meaningful discussions, that we typically don't get to have. I was able to have conversations with somebody that was basically raised prejudice. I was able to have conversations with homosexual males that felt like the whole taboo homophobic thing, and I was able to have conversations where I was able to break down the barrier and like, okay, this is the reason why I felt this way, or the reason why I experienced these type of things, because it is. And the conversation that we have would be so, I want to say middle lining, because it's almost like we would find a way to meet to the middle. And when I'm sitting back and I was thinking about this episode, it made me go back and revert to those things. And the reason why I am the way I am now, the reason why I could be advocates and be a straight male, but still stand with every, different form and everything like that, and stand in my purpose, but still support, is because I was able to have those discussions and able to see where they're coming from. They was able to see where I'm coming from, and we was able to meet a middle ground. I'm not taking up for nobody that's hateful. However, what I'm saying is that a lot of these things come from a place. So before we start pointing and calling names, we got to see what happened for that person to feel disrespected. Mm. I know in my case, because I've never been approached and when it comes down to that type of thing. So I ain't never been in no situation like that until probably recently. I was at the light and something was trying to holler at me, that I didn't necessarily know what it was.
This one said something. I'm done.
But so I ain't never really been into no situation like that. So I couldn't really speak for guys, like straight males that been propositions or anything like that. However, I understood that I've been in conversations where people would say stuff like, don't knock it till you're tired type of stuff. Mm. And to me, that's disrespectful, because it's like, I hear what you're saying, but you can't, same way I can't say certain stuff, because I can say the same thing reverse back. Mm. Same thing when it comes down to the racial thing. Mm. So you have to be able to want respect, but you also have to respect the person also. Same thing with this. I've been in situations where I'm sitting and I'm the only guy, and it's just a bunch of girls, and they just saying a whole bunch of stuff that you ain't supposed to be hearing as a guy. You know what I'm saying? Because you kind of like in the know at that point. You know what I'm saying? However, it's a respect level. Mm. Because it's certain stuff girls are not meant. Like I've known girls that literally base their relationship off of what they heard their guy friends say. Mm. And I'm like, no, your guy friends are dicks. That's not, you know what I'm saying? That's not the same thing as all guys. Just like your female friends could be fucking slut buckets. You know what I'm saying?
And you never know.
So you hearing all this stuff, oh yeah, I've had sex in the bathroom before with my girls. So now you going throughout your whole relationship thinking like, oh, damn, these girls be fucking each other in the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said certain stuff need to stay. Bro, I'm telling you, I done had so many conversations with the homies, and I'd be like, that ain't how you're supposed to receive that, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like that, you going around thinking that all women, no, you ain't supposed to think like that, bro. But when people get tapped into certain worlds and into certain, you know what I'm saying, they'll take that to the bank. Mm-hmm. They'll take it to the bank.
It's what you know.
So I'm saying all these things to say we have to get to a point where it's like, all right, if we got somebody that's opening up the conversation, let's get to a point where we're respecting both sides. If we want respect, we got to give respect. So we got to be lenient. I feel the same way when I'm talking and not not too long ago, we was recently having like, guy talk, and we were just talking about what, and out of the four of us in the conversation, it was one person that was just quiet. And in my mind, I said, I need to stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to stop talking right now because somebody uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a picking thing. It's just about being respectful. You know, if I'm in a room full of football players and I'm trying to have a conversation with people, I would miss connection if I'm just talking about basketball. You know what I'm saying? If I'm just talking about basketball and baseball when it's a room full of football players, it's not gonna make any sense. So it's just basing the conversation about things that we all can talk about or that we're not sensitive about. Some people, I mean, even if it was a virgin in the room, you know? So, I mean, but let me know if I'm going too far.
Well, I mean, I ain't gonna say you're going too far. It's just when I think about respect, yeah, people say it's a two-way street, but that bitch is like an 8-lane highway, bro. Like, you got to realize there's so many lanes when it comes to respect, because you got those that want to be in the fast lane that don't give a fuck about other people's feelings, so they gonna say and do whatever the fuck they want to do. They didn't grow up with respect. No one ever respected them, and they felt like, oh, well, that's the way you do life. You just don't respect nobody and do whatever you want to do. And that's the problem that you have when you run into people that have these conversations where you're saying the same thing, but because you're using different words than I'm using, you feel like I'm not hearing your side. But I hear you. I'm just telling you, here's where I stand. And that's that conversation that you were talking about. Yeah. It's not that you didn't get the respect or whatever, what have you. They just felt like you were saying something different because of the ignorance due to their lack of vocabulary. Yeah. So because they don't understand, because of the words or phrasing that you're using, that's where it was. And most people think it's a disrespect thing, but it's just a ignorance thing. Because people just don't know any better. So when it comes down to the respect in conversation or behaviors and things that people do around each other, those are the things that I think about. The lack of knowledge. Yeah. Because when I feel disrespected is when I've already told somebody, here's what I have going on, here's what I like and don't like. But then every time I see you, you constantly do the same thing. Yeah. Like when I'm saying, okay, when we come to this type of environment, you need to like not do you and make sure that, we stick to what's going on. But then when that person comes, they're always taking the conversation and making it all about them when we're trying to focus. I'm trying to watch this movie that I've never seen for the first time, and every 5 minutes you're saying a line because you've seen the movie already, or you're talking while this is going on because you're not really interested in the movie. You're on your phone on Instagram, so now you're laughing and making all this noise while I'm trying to focus and watch the movie. Or I done told you I don't like burping, so when I'm around you, you still feel like, should I burp all the time? So I'm going to burp. But I tell you it's disgusting and it bothers me or whatever, that type of thing. When I've already expressed what is a level of disrespect to me and you continue to do those things, that's where I go with respect and disrespect. When these conversations are had, though, that's just ignorance, a lack of knowledge.
Of course. Got two things I want to ask. One, how do you feel about, because respect, we talking about respect, so how do you feel about cigarette smokers, cigar smokers, and marijuana smokers dealing with a person that don't smoke, or meat eaters dealing with a person that don't eat meat? You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's just according to what conditions there are. Because for one, most of the time, people that don't like smoking or don't eat meat or whatever the situation is, they're putting themselves in places where that type of shit happens. And then they expect just because they're there that everyone should just stop doing what they normally do.
Message.
So if you're at someone's house and you know that they smoke, when you come to their house, you should already know that I'm going to have to be subject to smoke. If you're going around a bunch of your friends and you're the only vegan, when you go around them, you should expect them to eat. Like, they're not going to stop eating just because you're there. And they're not going to make an all vegan menu when that's not the way that they eat.
That's what I was going to say. The second thing I was about to get at, that's because we in the film industry, we deal with in the entertainment industry anyway. We deal with a lot of different dietary needs and wants. And we can handle that. It's when people start trashing the other people as if, they're better than somebody. So to me, and that was my second point as far as like the respect thing. If you want me to respect your wishes as far as like that you have chosen to not eat meat, that's perfectly fine with you. But don't make me feel like trash because I still eat meat or I eat this, I eat that. I don't eat pork, but I don't make people that don't eat pork. I don't say, I might make a joke. Because I'm a comedian, so I'm always make a joke. You eating that swine, but I'm saying it in a tasteful way where we all can laugh and giggle about it. But I'm not downing anybody. So it's a respect thing. You have a lot of people that literally come to your establishment and be like, okay, why y'all got meat here? Why y'all breathing y'all meat air?
I don't see how y'all just eat that.
Man, I heard somebody say, and somebody had passed gas, whatever. In the area, in the vicinity or whatever. It was not one of us. And the other person that don't eat meat was like, smells like a meat eater. And I was like, what, that's first of all, that's disgusting that you can just sit and decipher what kind of gases, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, yeah, that smell of hamburgers and french fries. like so that part is already crazy as it is. But when he said it, I just looked at him and I was like, and I never understood what makes people feel like when they do something in their life to down other people. If you working out, okay, that's you working out. If you going to diet, that's you going to diet. You're doing it for you. You don't have to put nobody down.
Right.
So we're gonna end on that note. That's what we mean by respect. It's an 8-lane highway.
Yes, because there are levels to that shit. It's not just, you understand what I'm saying and I understand what you're saying and let it be that. Like, no, you got to realize that when it comes down to this disrespect thing, there's so many variables to what makes something respectful or disrespectful. Mm-hmm. Whether it's the way you grew up, something you experienced traumatically in your past, all these different factors play into those types of situations. And when that comes together, you've got to check yourself and make sure that whatever lane you're in, you don't try to spew off into someone else's lane without putting on a turn signal.
Yeah. Thank you. Just read the room. We're going to end on that note. Just learn how to read the room. Stop being so consumed in you to the point that, okay, I got you. That was definitely the second alarm. Like, I get it. We're going over. But yeah, like I say, just learn to read the room. Slow down a little bit and be slow to react. A lot of times when I go certain places, I'm quiet that first moment that I'm there. If it's a new place, I'm quiet the first moment I'm there to just see if it's a moment for Avenue to be Avenue. Mm-hmm. And when I see it's a live moment, I'm going to slide in and do my thing. I got jokes.
I can't. Well, what I'll leave with is, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you feel like you're being disrespected, please make sure that you stay in control of your emotions. And do not allow yourself to be taken somewhere that you don't want to be. It's best to remove yourself from the situation if that's the case, because you don't want to waste all that energy being upset with someone that's just ignorant. Mm-hmm.
I've been doing, like I said, I did a security gig not too long ago, and I think I had told you about that. And I said that I know we're supposed to be closing, but I'm just say this last little part because I think it's very important. There was an individual that went by a different gender or whatever.
Oh, damn.
And everything was all good. I was doing security, so I got to pat the guys down. When he approached, I'm seeing, respectfully, this is what I'm seeing. It didn't dawn upon me what was going on until I saw, he had nails, but I was like, well, rappers doing it now, so I was like, I can't really judge you off of that. I see nails, I can't say, oh, you must be. No, I got to pat you down. So do the pat down, no problem. Goes in, come back out. He don't have no problem with, or the person doesn't have a problem with me per se, but there's young ladies that was outside, and they was basically just giving him props and saying, hey, you was doing this and you was doing that, you was killing them on the floor. But all he heard was he, and he immediately interjected, I go by whatever the term is. And he was so aggressive with it when he was speaking to them, and I couldn't help but interject. And I was like, hey, I understand where you're coming from. I understand how you might feel. I get it. However, they're not your enemy. They were actually giving you props. All you have to do is just say, hey, that's not what I go by. This is what I go by. Thank you. And then leave it at that. I say that to say this to the rest of the country, the rest of the world. We need to heal, and we need to be slow to react, because not everything that happens is happening to you, and not everything that's happening is not everybody is your enemy. If you going in the world and you literally living your life like you're mad at everybody, you're gonna have a long way to go. So just pump your brakes, talk to people, and be able to acknowledge when somebody is actually being disrespectful versus when they're being respectful. Respect is a two-way street. See you next time.
Intellectuals from different fields, masters of their respective crafts, diagnose the enigma of society as they bond, grow, and laugh through the prescription of meaningful discussions.